We also spoke about the IMbrave151, quite fascinating study because it looked onto the gemcitabine cisplatin plus the checkpoint inhibitor, specifically Atezolizumab, and it was a two-arm study, pretty much like almost two clinical trials. It was gemcitabine cisplatin plus Atezolizumab plus Bevacizumab, and the other one was gemcitabine cisplatin plus Atezolizumab plus a placebo. So clearly it was a difference between Atezolizumab plus Bevacizumab or Atezolizumab by itself. Within the context that this is a phase II clinical trial, and as such, really there's no comparison of the two arms, it literally did not show any difference between the two. And actually, intriguingly, the two arms did not fare better than with the standard of care that are currently ongoing. And the question is how to move this forward. I'm not sure. This is something that really needs a little bit of more vetting to really find the reason why we would bring it up. And this is now becoming very important, especially in regard to your third question, which is like, what about the targeted therapy in regard to biliary cancers? No doubt that the advance that we have seen in regard to biliary tract cancer has been mainly among couple of the genetic alterations that can occur. One of them is the FGFR2 fusion, and the other one is the ADH1 mutations. And of course, there's others like BRAF V600E and others, and HER2, of course. We're happy that we have Pemigatinib, which is already approved as a standard of care based on conditional approval based on phase II trial. We're also happy we have Futibatinib also on conditional approval in regard to second-line therapy for biliary tract cancer for patients with FGFR2 fusion or other alterations. We're also delighted that we have the Ivosidenib for mutated IDH1 therapy, again based on the phase III clinical trial that looked into the patient getting Ivosidenib versus placebo with the crossover, and as such the primary endpoint was PFS. The BRAF 600E is based on a phase II study, but I would say this is a very robust data that we definitely understand if patient with BRAF V600E therapy should be applied accordingly. And the HER2 is still yet to be defined, especially among gallbladder cancer patients. What can we learn from here? Number one is, please, very important for all dear colleagues, that we have to make sure that we do the genetic testing as early as possible. I always jokingly said, even before the patients see the physician, they have to do the genetic testing because it takes a while to get the results. On the average, has been really averaging out based on whom you talk to. On the average, probably meet in about like 3 to 4 weeks. And number two is it will probably open opportunities for the patients. And of course, these mostly are coming as second-line therapy. There has been a lot of efforts to try to see how to move them in the first-line setting. No doubt that the delay in regard to the testing might be a problem. But number two now, with all what we just spoke about, that we just heard of, in regard to what is the standard of care therapy, there's going to be a little bit of a challenge how to kind of fit them in. We have seen major efforts in regard to phase III clinical trials in the first-line setting that looked at gemcitabine cisplatin plus X as anti-FGFR2, and if anything, we know that the accrual has been really a big challenge. Why is that? Because the patients with the genetic alteration to begin with are really very limited in number, and as such, screening will take big effort. At the same time, patients might sometimes give up on the process because they really would like to get on therapy and they don't want to wait for the screening. And number two, even if they are screened, they might be negative in very high likely reason. And as such, to really do phase III clinical trial in that setting is probably not possible. If anything, one of the studies that looked into Pemigatinib versus placebo with the addition of gemcitabine cisplatin was already stopped because it could not accrue. And we'll see where the others are going to go. But as such, this is probably something that we all as a community, we have to look into with the agencies worldwide is, are we really in need for phase III clinical trial for those genetic alterations, or would we be settled with the phase II study results, like as we just spoke about for the Pemigatinib or the Futibatinib. Of course, the consideration for the add-on of the targeted therapy to the checkpoint inhibitors is a thought as well. But we are not there yet, but I will not be surprised, and there are, by the way, good biologic arguments why. I will not be surprised that we'll see them in no time per se.